And Saran, let's start with you. What did each of you learn from this experience? What did you learn from the young people from this experience?
Well, I think they were actually very receptive to to being exposed to different areas, and that's the feedback we actually got in the surveys that we completed afterwards. That they really did appreciate being exposed to areas that they're not usually exposed to, and to add to what Michelle is saying, I think where we really can add value is actually exposing them to these non-traditional areas. So I think they definitely the feedback that we got is that they were very receptive and they were very appreciative of us doing this.
And what did you learn about yourself after this?
What I learned about myself, I actually did present one of the workshops, and I actually did a presenter on marketing and entrepreneurship, which is my area. And I guess I learned that the impact that I was able to have and that I could have on youth, which I probably sometimes take for granted, because being a part of the association, you don't always get a chance to actually interact with the students. But being able to do so in this in this particular setting, I think was very very gratifying, and I think it really helped me realize how much of an impact I could have.
Is that what drives you with this initiative?
Yeah.
One of the things.
It definitely in so many ways, I think, which Karen and Michelle also know about too. That it definitely has changed my life in so many different ways. Being a part of educating youth has actually made me actually think about my future and what I want to do, and if somehow I can incorporate that into my future goals also.
What about you, Karen? What did you learn about yourself?
What did I learn about myself? It kind of redoubled my commitment, Brian, to work with the students or young people in Guyana, Ryan. And it really drove home for me as Saran said, how gratifying it is, right? How gratifying it is for me personally, and how helpful it is for the kids. Helpful. Since we've been back, I have heard from some of the students, right? Even when it was my third trip back, and to walk the halls of Queen's College and have kids actually run up and hug me. Hi, Miss Karen, right? We're so glad you're here, right? I mean, they really appreciate it. And maybe that's something that I take for granted, that I do have things that I can offer that people actually do want. So the other thing is that, if I have an idea, right, and I believe in something, right, I really should work toward it, right, and try my best to overcome all of the obstacles. There will be obstacles in a way, because, not everyone would necessarily agree with what you're doing at any given time. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're not right, right? But if you really do believe in what you're doing, then you need to find it, or I need to find it within myself to move forward, despite what is going on around me. And that is something that really hit home this time around.
And you, Michelle?
I think what I've learned is that my experience, the things that I've experienced in my life, and the trajectory of my life can be used to help a student along the way. I also learned that the skills and the abilities that I've developed, they were as a result of the foundation that I received from Queen's College. So what my desire is more and more, it really reinforced that desire to reach back and make a difference in the lives of those who are, coming behind me, because I certainly believe that our children are our heritage, and more importantly, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I cannot just sit back and take the blessings that I've received for granted. It behooves me to really reach back and give back to those who are coming along the way.
The last time you guys were there was a different government.
Mhm.
So you had to introduce this program, and you got some line to change of government. Now, what was this like introducing this concept to the new Minister of Education?
Well, we really don't care which government is in power, right? Our primary concern and our obligation is to the students. So we are willing to work with whichever government is in charge of Guyana.
What was it like introducing it though? Was there a problem?
No, there was no problem this year,
Mhm.
and there was none last year either. We're fortunate to have the current Minister of Education is an alum, and the prior Minister of Education was also an alum. So we've been fortunate in that way, in that manner. But really, we've had no issues,
Okay.
none. We've been received well, Ryan, and I predict that going forward, regardless of who is actually, in power, so to speak, a program like this and the services that we provide would be needed and would be appreciated and would be well received.
Well, I thought I want to come back to that. Saran, I want to ask you this particular question.
Can I just, and then also just to add to what Karen was saying also, the Chief Executive Officer, Alado Sam, is also an alum, and he was also the CEO last year when we did the conference. So
Yeah.
he's continued to be so this year too.
And he actually encouraged us, if I may say so, right? This time around to when we shared with him what our plans were, he was very excited, right? And he thought that it was a great thing that we were doing, and he basically said, "Whatever you need, let me know." And yeah, that's what happened.
I love to ask people this question, right? A hypothetical. If you had the ear of the president, you had the ear of the particular minister, what would you ask them? What would you suggest? But you guys did have a meeting with the minister.
We did.
All right. Were you there, Saran?
I was,
Okay.
yes.
What did you ask him? And did you make any suggestions?
Well, I think the initial meeting with Minister Ripnoi was really just like, a meet and greet, and to let him know exactly what we were working on, and to see, what kind of support we could lend, and also, if he can, give us support with things that we were working on. We talked to him about the conference and a couple other things that we wanted to do after the conference. One of the things that we wanted to do next year, actually, is to possibly have a math workshop.
Math workshop?
Yes.
Math Institute.
A math institute, yes.
Really?
Yes.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah, so, we spoke to him about that. That would be led by one of our alum, Dr. Terrence Blackman, which is something that's, it's very near and dear to his heart and he works on.
And so
He's no stranger to this program.
I hope, and you know what? I hope he's listening,
Yes.
because now he's been put on blast. There's no turning back.
He's no stranger to this program.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Minister Ripnoi was, he thought it was a great idea, and he's very supportive of us going forward with that. So
Right, and I, one of the things that, we also talked about or discussed is basically the balance in school. Right? Balance, academic, non-academic balance, right?
Okay.
That right now.
I just come from seeing recent years, these 20 subjects and 19 subjects and 21 subjects.
Well, like if I were to be truly honest, right? I'm not sure. I'm not so concerned with the 20 subjects, right? But more, what do kids have to do in order to basically pass 20 subjects. I mean, does it mean they have to give up playing soccer and cricket and engaging in extracurricular activities? If a child is able to take 21 subjects and excel in piano and arts and athletics, why not, right? But it seems to me, and maybe it's anecdotal, that the kids are spending lots of time in school and lots of time outside of school in academic pursuits, right? And my sense is, by and large, definitely at Queens College, maybe, and some of the other schools, that maybe because of the drive to excel academically, right, not enough emphasis is being placed on some of the other life skills, right? And that's our focus at this point.
And Dr. Foster, I want you to jump in here. If the three of you, or let's say when the three of you come back here 5 years from now, and then maybe put a footnote in there, you'll be having several conversations between now and then. But 5 years from now, if you're sitting in front of me, reporting back about this program, what would you like to be telling the audience?
Well, Karen and Saran would not be surprised by my answer, but I would like more of a national effort focused on the top, really launching a more national conference that would reach several schools, several regions possibly, but really taking what we have been successful at doing at Queens College and really reaching other students around the country, those who may not have the pedigree of a Queens College student, students in general, especially those who are disadvantaged. So really it would be more at a higher level, reaching students at all economic strata, really expanding our efforts.
And if I may add to what Michelle is saying, what I would like to report back is that many of the other alumni associations are doing exactly the same, right? And so to the extent that we, particularly being here today and speaking with your audience, right, we would like to empower and inspire.
You know what? I want to bring you and Saran on this. This is an interesting point because it's a question I was thinking about. How do you envision the academic arena if you continue along this path? Another alumni association introduce this type of initiative.
Little bit dirty build down. Okay, so I think that it will start a movement, Ryan, that will build upon itself, Ryan. And if that were to happen, then the three of us and the New York chapter can then focus in a different area, because we would no longer be needed. Right? There will be no need for us to go to Guyana to put on a conference because it would be widespread, right? And maybe conferences wouldn't even be needed because these kinds of things, time management, goal setting, anti-bullying strategies, entrepreneurship, those subjects would be integrated into, if not the formal curriculum, but definitely into activities at school. They were there when we were there, right? There were clubs, right? Saran talked about earlier about the leadership, the team building activities that on the second day. There were 10 teams, and at least 50% of them presented and asked for extracurricular activities in their schools. They want clubs. They want sports teams. They want fitness centers, right? So there's a yearning for that, right? And so we should be back in 5 years saying,
these are the things.
Yep.
It's done.
When
Yeah.
you were introducing this program, and Michelle, I want to start with you actually. What were your deepest fears, your deepest concern about introducing this program the first time around? What were some of your fears and concerns?
I'm not sure we were really fearful. I think we just
Not at
wanted
all.
to make sure it really was presented with excellence, as with this one. Really, we were able to attract a group of talented presenters, but really not knowing maybe how it would be received on the other end was of course some gave us some anxious moments. But I think it wasn't so much a fear of putting it on, but it was just a fear of making, since it was totally new, making sure that it really accomplished the goals that we had. And after getting that under our belt, I mean, this year it was like we can do so much more, and we wanted to do so much more at an even higher level, which we did. So
And you, Saran, at what point in this whole thing did you realize you're onto something good?
I think since last year, we felt that we wanted something good. The feedback that we got from the students was overwhelming. And they were really appreciative, which is why we thought we should go forward with doing it this year and doing it on an even larger scale. So I think since last year, I think we felt we're onto something great.
I just want to read something from the chat room. Maya says, a math workshop for teachers or students? Let me rephrase that as a question. A math workshop for teachers or students? And why would they not team up with the Caribbean Science Foundation if it is math and science that they are trying to assist with? Caribbean integration? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Oh, so we have a potential recruit in Dr. Trotz. So thank you, Maya. We'll be reaching out. Actually, but it will not. It will be for both. Right. We can't say a whole lot at this point because we are developing our strategy. But fear not, it will include teachers, right, and it will include students, and it will include Dr. Trotz.
And I think one of the things
You guys just recruited Maya.
yeah,
Absolutely, you got to put your mouth where your money is.
Exactly, and I think with most initiatives that we do, I think once they're successful, we try to make them sustainable. And I think a part of making the institute sustainable would be to make sure we have the teachers involved and we're able to train them that they can actually continue with it. And this is just the beginning of one of the things that we possibly can be doing.
Right, but
also including other
other schools,
professionals
yes.
on the ground. I'm sure it would not just be black men coming from.
But I would rather us focus on what we do, what we've done, right? And I think that as time marches on, we can come back and with Dr. Blackman and speak more specifically to what will be happening then. Yes, but right now I think it's kind of like early.
Premature.
Premature.
One
Thank
question
you.
and then we go on a quick break.
Absolutely.
What was a defining moment for each of you during the second time around when you had the mixture of students and it wasn't just Queen's College students? What was the defining moment for you? Karen, start with you.
The defining moment, one of them, right, was on the second day, right, to basically observe how engaged, right, the other students, all of the students were, but particularly the ones from the non-Queen's College schools. Because we had experienced Queen's College before, right? And to basically invite people into your home, right? And have them participate in what it is you're doing. You're never quite sure how it's going to go over. They're guests, But, you know, in speaking with them and to just observe how they presented, how they carried themselves, right? It was, I mean, it actually did bring tears to my eyes, right? To know that despite everything we read in the newspapers, right? Despite everything you hear, right? That there are such valuable gems, that the kids in Guyana are so smart, so well positioned, at least, you know, and so thoughtful, came up with such innovative ideas. Selwyn, I mean, it's hard to describe, but that was an aha moment for me.
Are you, Saran?
I think, you know, probably the same thing as Karen, because, you know, the second day is something that's really, you know, important to me. You know, it's entrepreneurial in nature, so it's something that's very, you know, near and dear to me. And to see the engagement level of the kids was just, you know, completely awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I know I can't even, you know, think of a word. It's just completely awesome. And then even on the first day too, when I had my workshop, and to see the non-QC students, you know, being as engaged, and, you know, having, you know, the intellect on par with the QC students, and asking, you know, important questions, and being as curious as the QC students were, you know, was also very impressive to me too.
And in some cases, even being even more curious than the Queen's College students.
And you, Dr. Foster?
Well, I can say ditto on all, you know, and what and I said also, to me, also what was wonderful was the outpouring of support from members of the Queen's College family. I really, there were people who went down with us who went down to help out, and not necessarily, you know, be a full-fledged presenter, or they weren't necessarily engaged on the planning team. But we had an outpouring of support from New York, as well as from alum on the ground. So I want us to make sure that we, you know, give a shout out to them, because just being a part of the team, and we were a part of a 5-member team that included us, Dr. Caldera, as well as John Campbell, the president of QCANY. So, you know, we were working for months, but then to get the outpouring of support from the alumni body, I think that was very great to see as well, as well as what the lady said about the students. Just having that, you know, like, okay, we got your back, we'll do whatever you want, I'm there, you know, whatever you need, just, you know, sign us up. That was very heartwarming as well.
Let's take a quick break.